So when I look back at closing 2.6 million in high ticket sales, there's a few things that stand out as things to avoid. And this video is going to be about the 5 cardinal sins of high ticket selling. Now, I have spoken to over 2,000 people on the phone, even more over Messenger and text messaging and emails. And there's obviously some things that come and kind of surface to the top for do's and don'ts. And this video is going to be about the top 5 don'ts. I've taken a big list and I have tweaked them down to just these 5. Now, whether you're new or you're a seasoned veteran, these 5 will still help you because they're good reminders. And if you haven't heard these before, then they're good ones to throw in your toolbox of things to keep in mind when you are on a sales call. Starting out at number 1, don't talk over the prospect. This is literally something I see a lot of new sales reps do. They're given a script and they're wanting to follow the script to a T. They're asking them the questions, everything's going great. And then the prospect throws them a curveball by going completely off script, and then they try to save that by talking over them to be able to take back control of the conversation. Now, unless the person is a talker and you genuinely have to interrupt them in order to direct them back, this is very bad news, because if a prospect is speaking, then they're giving you ammunition that you could potentially use at the end whenever it comes to making a buying decision, whether you feel they're a good fit for your program or not. Keep in mind, we're wanting to do this ethically, so we're not making offers to people that don't need them, but you won't know if something is a pain point for somebody if they were about to tell you and then you talked over them. Very, very bad. Number 2, don't wait to challenge beliefs. If somebody brings up something on the call that you know is wrong, at least that's not going to get them to the goal that they said that they've wanted, then it's on you to address that immediately. You cannot wait until the end of the call in order to assert dominance, in order to assert leadership. You can't do that. Here's why. Because you're setting the reality on the call. As they're laying out their problems and they're laying out what's happening for them, they're showing you their reality. But their reality is not getting them the result that they want. You have the result that they want. And so you have a superior perception. And if you don't immediately address that and call that out in the beginning, then you won't be able to at the end of the call. I've seen a lot of people lose calls because they didn't challenge people's beliefs. There's one time this guy was like, well, obviously you need to run Facebook ads. Obviously you need to run advertising if you want to be successful in business. And I was like, do you? Is that true? Is there nobody else out there that's being successful in business and they're not running any ads? So you got to be able to cut it off at the pass, nip it in the bud. Otherwise, it ends up growing into this big thing, into a big dragon that is really hard to slay at the end of the call. The 3rd cardinal sin that I see from high ticket selling is paraphrasing. Do not paraphrase. You want to use their own words because their own words are the key to unlocking their ability to be understood. If somebody doesn't feel understood, then they think that you're not listening. And if they don't think that you're listening, and if they don't think that you understand, then there's not going to be any comfort and trust built. So by using their exact words, if somebody says, you know, I just feel like when I think about my finances, like I'm just drowning, like I just can't get some air because it's just so hard for me right now. Don't paraphrase and be like, yeah, it's like really just trying to climb up a hill, you know, pushing that Sisyphean rock. No. Say, yeah, it must be crazy how you're basically suffocating from drowning in all of your financial turmoil, right? And they will feel that, and it will hit them harder than if you tried to paraphrase. So that's why you always have a pen, and in my case, I recommend getting a dedicated journal, okay, to document every sales conversation that you have. When I was working in a very large digital marketing consultancy, I had my own journals, and I have 9 different journals filled with my calls with individuals who I made sure I wrote down everything that they were saying, the words that they were saying, the pain that they were using, the words they were using to describe their pain, so that either a month, 3 months, 9 months, even a year later, when these people come back, because you're doing follow-up, right? I can know exactly what they said and what their problems were, and I had it physically. There's something about having a physical journal that's great. Something like this, right? This would be great for you to be able to have. It's like, all right, use this, take sales notes. Use their words. The fourth cardinal sin that I see is people missing leverage by not getting the person to admit what you already know on the call. Let me explain. It is not enough for you to know. They must know that you know. Let me say that again. It's not enough for you to know what was written on the application. They might say, I've only got $3K in my bank account, I've got a $1,000 credit card, and I'm making $10K a month. Just devil's advocate here. That might be on the application. Now, you can't assume that they already know that you know that. You have to get them to admit that, because by asking them, right? So if they say they're making $10K a month in the application and you ask them on the call, how much are you making per month right now? And they say, I'm making $20K a month. You could say, okay, how'd you get that? Well, I got it by doing this, this, and this. Okay, cool. So now they're saying they're making $20K a month. But if you just went off of the application says they're only making $10K a month. Good to know, right? They might also say, you know, I have one credit card with $1,000 on it. And you might say, ask them on the call, what's your credit situation look like? And they might say, you know, I just got an offer in the mail for a 30K credit limit. All I have to do is just activate it. But you wouldn't know that unless you actually ask them on the call. So you can't just rely on the application. You can't just rely on information that you think that they already know, that you know. You have to get them to admit it on the call. This is also very good for when somebody has a pain, right? In the very beginning of the call, they need to tell you specifically that they have a problem. If they don't tell you that you have a problem, then this is not an enrollment conversation. This is not a sales call. So I would just quickly end the call, because there's not going to be any sale made at the end. Not unless somebody verbally admits that they have a problem. And the fifth cardinal sin that I see is green light after a red light. You want to wait. Why do you want to wait? Because you don't know if somebody is trying to run a red light and then you start to go and then boom, collision. Pause after every time a prospect stops talking. At least 2 seconds. Because you don't know if they've got more coming. They might be spilling their heart out to you. They might be giving you all the gold in the world. And as soon as they stop talking, you immediately start talking. Well, then now they don't have to talk. And what's interesting is that they love it when you talk, because they're on the hot seat. They're on the hot seat. The more that they're talking, the more they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm telling this stranger all these personal things about me. I would rather be doing anything else than what I'm doing right now. Because if you think about it, somebody who signs up for a conversation, and if they're savvy enough, they know what's going on. They're willing to play the game. And so they're allowing you to be able to lead, and they're being vulnerable with you. But if as soon as they stop talking and you immediately pick up the torch and you start talking again, you might have missed out on gold that they would have given you. So by pausing for at least 2 seconds, so I stop talking, 2, and then I could respond. But what happens for a lot of people is that they will feel the vacuum of you not saying anything, and they will want to fill that space. And so they will continue talking, because inside, you don't know what's going on inside of their heads. But I can tell you a lot of the time, they're really insecure, and the answer that they gave you, they don't know if you thought it was good or not. And so they'll continue talking, and they might reveal something else that is a problem inside their business, something else that's a problem with their weight or a problem inside of their relationship, which might be the key for you to be able to hold up the mirror to them and show them what's actually going on. Getting people to admit the truth to themselves is really what sales calls are all about. And you will miss that opportunity if you immediately go on a green light. You wait. Check both ways, and then you go. This will serve you so well.